Madison, and today we're talking about how museums can get it right. This is slightly problematic, but we're getting better. My last two episodes have been all about how museums have gotten it wrong. This time, we're going to focus on getting better through decolonization and questioning everything. Using critical museology and decolonizing theory are some ways to engage meaningfully with institutionalized racism and systems of power. Critical museology engages with museums as a place for critique, questioning the fundamental building blocks of museums, such as the meaning behind exhibits. Decolonization is basically any form of undoing or undermining colonization. It is extremely important work for creating more inclusive and equitable societies because it decenters Eurocentric Western perspectives. Anthropology has historically exoticized others, aka non-white people, and colonial power dynamics have allowed the West to exert power and control over the lives and representations of others. Western domination over others has been supported by stereotyped, exoticized, and disparaging representations. The decolonizing critique has been key to reflecting on the power of representation, acknowledging difficult truths, and ultimately decentering Western perspectives. Recognizing that much of Western society is dominated by the power dynamics of colonization and systematic racism is a crucial first step in decolonization. Next, institutions like museums must analyze how these power dynamics can be altered to make space for non-dominant perspectives. The decolonizing movement reached museums during the mid to late 20th century, privileging the voices of those being represented and challenging the Eurocentric Western voice that has dominated representation and continues to do so in many museums. Ho-Chunk scholar and badass Amy Lonetree writes, "What a great irony that places inextricably linked to the colonization process are also the sites where the difficult aspects of our history can and must be clearly and forcefully told." Decolonizing museums in particular is important in changing the settler colonial narrative because of the central role museums play in colonization. After hundreds of years of indigenous activism, collaboration and partnership with source communities and other related communities has become expected of museums. Indigenous activists have also been fighting the repatriation of artifacts and human remains since museums and anthropologists began stealing them hundreds of years ago. After hundreds of years of indigenous activism, collaboration and partnership with source communities and other related communities has become largely expected of museums, although many museums with decades-old exhibits are struggling to keep up. See my part 1 for examples, or go to a local museum safely and critique the hell out of it. Museum professionals and anthropologists are now being held to a higher ethical standard than the past. Do no harm is no longer the ethical standard to strive for. It is now generally expected that museum professionals and anthropologists actively attempt to do at least some good. That's the standard, to try to do at least some good. Many museum professionals, myself included, believe that museums, as we know them, can never fully be decolonized because they will always be fundamentally Western institutions. But this does not negate the importance of decolonizing work. Museums are problematic, but they can work to do better. Museums can and should repatriate indigenous human remains, sacred objects, and other objects that people would like returned. It's that simple. Museums can and should make sure that collections have been acquired ethically and take action to return them when they're not. Museums can and should include marginalized communities in all aspects of museum work, not just their representation. Now on to critical museology, a brief intro. Critical museology arose as a response to people both inside and outside of the museum becoming more aware of hierarchies, social inequities, and the role that museums have to play in educating the public about the other. Museums are products of the time and place in which they exist, and critical museology is key to analyzing the impact of time and place on museum representation. For example, if an exhibit opened up in Denver in 2021 about Black Lives Matter, it would be different than an exhibit on Black Lives Matter in Minneapolis, or an exhibit on Black Lives Matter in 2031. Critical museology asks us to think beyond the objects and, quote, understand the meanings of museum objects as situated and contextual rather than inherent. Museum curators choose how to contextually situate museum objects, giving them enormous power over how exhibits are understood by the public. Because of this power, critiquing museums is central in holding museums accountable. Hold museums accountable, please. Conclusions? As platforms for public education, museums can contribute to a more accurate, holistic public understanding of important issues, such as the experiences of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and other marginalized communities today. Understanding that museums hold so much social power is especially important during 2021. The world is experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic, which is disproportionately affecting Black and Brown communities due to structural racism. The genocide of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and LGBTQ+ peoples continues in North America. Although decolonizing work is expanding, settler colonialism continues into the 21st century. But global protests for causes such as Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate have shown that many people are up to fighting institutionalized racism. My hope for museums and other public forums is that they use their power to contribute to this fight, highlighting how institutionalized racism persists and how we can work to address it. And, as always, I would like to conclude by acknowledging that much of North America and other settler colonial areas remain unceded, unjustly ceded, and effectively stolen while European colonial settlers continue to commit genocide against the peoples that are indigenous to these lands. My current home of Denver is on the lands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute peoples, lands that were not freely given nor equitably shared. All non-Indigenous residents of Indigenous lands are benefiting from the genocide and forced relocation of these peoples, whether we like it or not. After enjoying this episode, please consider donating to an Indigenous-run organization promoting Indigenous rights, sovereignty, and equity. If you're unable to donate, it's free to read, follow, and support them in other ways. And if you're enjoying Slightly Problematic, support us too by liking, commenting, and sharing us with your friends. See you all in Volume 2! This is Slightly Problematic, and this is Addie.